So let's check the news here. Oh yeah, and we visited the school, now I remember. That we didn't like, because it was some sort of military school. So we visited, and Mrs. Walda, our... I think she is a minister. La 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 la. It's the school. Through this visit, is delighted to have an opportunity to represent a fantastic job that all staff members have been doing. And the assembly talks about prayer language. Isaro Kibner, the leader of the NFP, the National Front Party, has proposed a Swedish Prayer Language Act to the Assembly. The proposed bill aims to standardize the language of prayer to Swedish in the entire Sordland. Prayer language has always been a controversial topic, as most of the religious ceremonies in the Bergia region, where most of the Bludish population resides, conduct their prayers in Bludish. It also has caused heated discussions between the Bludish MP and FPs, resulting in Monsoon League, leader of the independent MPs, leaving the assembly protest. So, let's see here. Yeah, our budget is still very bad. What do we have here? We have a briefing on the proposal of education reform. Now, I do have a message on Discord. Let's see what that is. I think nothing. Let's do the briefing. We're still in Laren, staying at the modest guest house for state employees. Sierra set up a meeting with me and Lucien to go over her plans for education from after a school visit. Lucien was seated across from me at the table, going through documents. Sierra entered the room. After the visit yesterday, I couldn't even sleep thinking about that little boy and girl. I have never been more sure of my intentions to reform our education system. Well, I agree, actually. Yeah, I agree, it's necessary. Exactly. Those students have to repeat that some Sollist propaganda every single day. They are being brainwashed at an age when their minds need to be free. On top of that, young girls are denied the same opportunity as boys. They're forced into the role of housewife before they even reach puberty. Nothing's changed since I went to school. Women like me, Lilia, Nia, even your wife, we had to study twice as hard to receive the same university education that you and Lucien took for granted. Is that the kind of country you want to live in? Mr. President, we need to bring change. We need to free the minds of these young people. What do we need to do for the reform? We need to keep politics out of the curriculum. Soll should be viewed as a historical figure. Children shouldn't have to repeat his name every day. It is actively poisoning young, bright minds. Instead of thinking for themselves, they are learning to take things at face value. We also need to ensure boys and girls receive the same instruction. Handcrafts like knitting and sewing should be taught to both sexes, or not at all. Scotland's youth must be technically skilled and capable for the next decade. It won't be possible with the amount of nationalistic indoctrination and narrow-minded thinking found today. Either is a generation ready for the challenges of the future or not? What will it be? Yeah, I'm gonna reform the system, because I do remember that they were saying these things and I was like, this is not a school. This is a military school. We are gonna reform it. You will not regret it. I will get to work immediately. Now that the decision was made, let's move on. Very well. Here I skimmed over our documents before continuing. After the budget increase, the ministry quickly began formulating plans on how to effectively use the money. But before moving forward, the question of keeping education fully state-funded or allowing for new private schools remains open. Tell us about the benefits of allowing private school. For 2, education should remain as a state service only. Certainly this is the most ideal situation. Yeah, but we are in an economical crisis, and some private schools could help, but that also means that some people get maybe better education because there's more money. Oh, we got some Discord messages again. Let me check. Okay, Montgomery is there in 5 minutes. So 5 minutes we will have voiceover. Tell us about the benefits of allowing private schools. I've made my opinion clear, I'm against it, but it would give us additional funds for education while increasing competition. It would go against our overall economic strategy of a planned economy. 2 minutes of deliberation passed. We have enough money to improve education in Sordland. We do not need to complicate things further with a privatization incentive. What's your decision? Yeah, I think then, because we put more money in, that we are gonna go and keep it as a state matter. Education will solely a matter of the state. We need to prevent interference from private interests. We're gonna keep it. Will do, that should be it for now. I will get to work and report back later. This has been a very productive day. I will be returning to Holsword. Okay, well, that was the first small dialogue, I guess. Thank you for your time. We dispersed after spending nearly the entire day together. I took a moment simply to breathe the fresh evening air of Leyren. I felt calmer here somehow, but I would have to return to the chaos of Holsword soon enough. Uh-oh. Country overview. Ex-President and our founder, Soll, declared the British Freedom Front to be an illegal organization. Wait, that's not new. It's over here. Did we just get this thing? Did we just get a Black Tuesday crash? Oof. I wonder. We have one news article from the Leghaven Times. Uh-oh. We are making a mistake. Head of Sordland's second opposition party, the National Front Party, has said President Rayne will not be able to keep ruling the country without addressing policies that have negatively affected our security, culture and economy. He blamed President Rayne for not being open to any discussions about proper reforms. Kibner also criticized the PFJP leader, Franz Richter, for supporting President Rayne. NFP cannot be part of this nonsensical collaboration anymore. It has been transformed into an anti-nationalist committee, said Kibner. He also explained his concerns over how the PFJP supported Arcasian imperialism and only cared about profit at the expense of Swedish people. Rayne is making a mistake by working together with Richter. He criticized the committee for not discussing the real issues that surround Sordland. He's getting angry. Very angry. And let's see what we have here. We have a report. Yeah, Sierra Waldo is reporting that she has begun working on the education reform, and the details of the education reform will be finalized of the upcoming months. If the reform package is accepted, the next steps of this process would be to discuss the indoctrination of education. And we have another report. Satellite. Intelligence reports United Contana, you know, some sort of Soviet Union on this in this game, has successfully launched a second satellite which has the capability of radio communications. This means that United Contana radio communications will be able to be transmitted through the satellite for the first time ever. A technology that no other country currently possesses. Wow. We are having the Soviets leading the space race, I guess. And we have a meeting with Gloria Tori on the planned reforms. I arrived at the Grand National Assembly, which was only a 5-minute drive away from the palace. Today I had a private meeting with Gloria Tori. I'm clicking on Gloria Tori. One of the leading figures of the USP, our party. To get her approval for the proposal, she was also key He was also key in reaching 115 signatures to propose the new constitution. She had extensive control over our party's conservative and moderate wings. When I walked into the corridors of the Grand National Assembly, I was confronted by the memories of the historic building. Despite being a member of Assembly not long ago, it now felt like a distant past. I walked into the left wing of the Assembly, which currently acted as the quarters of USP. Victoria's office was the first one inside. I knocked the door and entered. Good morning, Mrs. Story. Good to see you here, Mr. Rayne. It was a small, neatly organized office. There were small figurines, photos, and plants around the place. It had a homely feel, contrary to what my room felt like back in the day. On her gesture, I took a seat. The chair was very uncomfortable. 1. How are you doing? Or 2. I love what you did with the office. I'm just gonna say, how are you doing? I'm fine, Mr. Rayne, and how are you? I'm good now that I've seen your face. I'm fine too, thank you. I'm fine too, thank you. Anyway, let's keep this simple, Mr. Rayne. We know why we are here. You want me to give you my support. I don't see why the backbone of this party would support your rushed reforms against our party's founder, as well as the states. The reforms are not against anyone, it's all in the name of democracy. Or 2. Mrs. Story, I need you to help me here. Or 3. These reforms are very critical for the future of Sordland, Mrs. Story. Yeah, it's in the name of democracy. In the name of democracy? Even though you owe everything to President Soll, I think you never liked him, nor the party he has built. Oh, she is getting angry already. There's nothing personal about this, Mrs. Story. 2. I would never betray our party. 3. How dare you suggest I never liked Soll? I'm a proud Sollist. Just gonna stick with, there's nothing personal about this. Whatever you intend to do, you will be facing quite the opposition, Mr. Rayne. That's all I can say. 1. I'm sure I can make a deal, or 2. Perhaps I could change your thoughts on the matter with some well-placed investments. We're gonna bribe her. Oh. 3. You must understand that these reforms are a necessity. Let me explain. How? We need these reforms to fix our problems with the unrestricted power of the Supreme Court. Or 2. People demand change. USP must give them what they want. We need the people's support. 3. USP is a party that knows how to react at changing times. We must lead the nation into the future. Now that sounds maybe like the better option. I'm gonna go with 3. Then why don't let the party decide that? I seriously do not know if the Conservatives would be willing to support you at all. Especially when you're trying to decrease the electoral threshold. Probably in hopes to bring the Communists into Assembly. You must have a deal with either them or maybe the PFJP. Friends seem to be positive about giving you support too. The decrease is important to democratize our elections. 2. I have no deal with anyone. 3. You're pointing fingers without even thinking. 4. I can reconsider the decrease in the threshold. No, I'm not gonna do that. I have no deal with anyone. I don't know how your acts can even be justified inside the USP. I do not support an election threshold of 8%. This sets a dangerous situation for us as both the WBP, the Bloody Workers' Party, and the Communist Party will benefit from this the most. I'd rather have the threshold unchanged. 1. Very well, I remove the change to the threshold. We change the reform. 2. That's not up to you, Mrs. Story. We will keep the changes in the proposal. I don't think I'm going to change it. I think it's important for the stability that we are doing this. No, we are not going to change ISO. That's too bad, yet you still want our support. I don't know if I can promise anything before I see an action from you. She is just waiting for her to get bribed, so why would we help her? Especially with all these issues you're creating for the party. What about the other issues then? You should at least remove the changes to the Member of Honor laws. Or there will be no further discussion. You can't just target Soll, our founder, and expect our support. If this point is not removed, expect a ground opposition instead. We have to change it. Should we change this then? Nice Iceco wants to change it. I mean, that last point was not the big deal, right? Okay, we are gonna change it. Oh, this Gloria. Great, now we can start talking for real. I must say that I like the change regarding the appointment of ministers. That's one positive aspect. But moving on, it is also unbelievable that you are taking away the immunity of the justices, a big mistake. Even though the assembly is elected by the people, it does not hold judicial insight and neutrality to impeach justices. Separation of powers shouldn't be damaged. This is something I cannot accept. Not to mention that you are removing presidential degrees. I don't know who pressured you into that, but clearly that person has more influence on you than anyone else. I don't see anything democratic here, Mr. President, can you? Let's change and discuss how I make you and the Conservatives happy. 1. It seems our understanding of democracy is very different. 2. This will benefit the party. 3. What I see is a bright future for Sordland. We need to be united. That's not an answer on our question. I will go with 3. I continue to disagree. So what are you thinking about? Are you ready to make changes to your proposal, or should we keep continuing with this? What the fuck? Oh, and we are getting a call. From Montgomery.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, you're there.
Yes.
Let me share the screen again. There we go. I think you can see my screen now.
Yes.
So we already started for 20 minutes now. And we are now discussing with Gloria, that was one of the important members of our party, to convince her to vote for the reforms.
Oh, yes, I remember the reforms. Okay.
And we are changing almost everything, otherwise she doesn't want to talk.
Ah.
The first thing we changed was the point that Soll had immunity, and that went to go away. And we removed that point already. And now we are at the second point for the immunity of the justices. And she doesn't want it to be touched.
Is she a justice?
No, she is... Oh, wait, I cannot click on it anymore. She is just the leader of the more conservative part of our party.
Okay. I see.
So... So I need to discuss now what I want to do. Are we gonna change this as well? If I say 2, then it's over, and we already changed something. So I guess I have to roll back a bit.
I mean, if that's what you want. to do. I don't know if I thought that was one of like the big points though, was removing the justice's immunity.
Yeah, but otherwise we already changed something for nothing now. So it's so stupid.
So then she just won't talk to you.
No, she
like,
is just
all.
the only thing she does is, oh well, I want this and that, otherwise you can fuck off. So yeah, really, she is not even talking to me about things. She's just,
and the
I don't
options
want
are
this.
just
So
the options are just change it or
yeah,
no more speaking.
I guess I'm gonna change it because we are now already in it. So
Yeah. All
right, people are gonna be very angry. Fine.
Let's hope you don't lose
We will not
votes
touch
from
the
that
immunity of the
liberal.
justices. Let's remove that point. Yeah,
Finally. Finally, the proposal is starting to make some sense.
Took a long look at the proposal on her table. She's still not satisfied, I know it.
You know what? Uh-oh. I feel extra generous today. I believe I can give you my support.
She repositioned herself on the chair.
But don't you ever forget, Mr. President. The Conservatives will be expecting a lot from you.
I don't like her.
No,
Maybe we should split off from our party with the more progressive part. 1. I will be expecting a lot from the Conservative as well. Aha. Or 2, of course. Or 3, whatever you need. No, no, not whatever you need.
No.
I will do 1 as well. Yeah, I'm expecting 2 from you.
Now that it's settled, we can move on. I can get you the signatures needed for the proposal. I'll talk to the Conservatives. I hope there won't be any surprises, though, Mr. President.
She's not nice.
Mm-mm.
Glad to hear that. What surprises? Your lack of faith in me is disappointing. For I assure you there is nothing you should be concerned about.
I don't know. Just be
I'm
mean
gonna
to
go
her
with
because
3.
she was mean to you. Mm-hmm.
Your lack of faith in me is disappointing.
We have to calculate every possibility, Mr. President. After all, I do not see eye to eye with your other policies. Especially your promotion of Eastern values and getting closer to United Continent will definitely create huge problems for Sordland. I hope you are not going to follow through with that idea to the end. Flirting with the Menyevists will only bring us trouble.
The millennialists.
Millennievists.
The Bolshevists. The Soviets will only bring us trouble.
I'm positive that I can get you the signatures, but I can't vouch for all the conservatives of the party to vote for the constitutional changes. But that still depends on your policies, Mr. President. I have no problem with the proposal, and you have my word that I will help you get this out.
1. Thank you. 2. Which policies make you concerned? 3. Signatures are not enough. We need all the votes. I'm just gonna say thank you. I'm done with her.
No more speaking.
She smiled and nodded.
Before we finish, there's one thing I need to say. I'm concerned about the oligarchs and the state of our economy. I'm worried that they may influence you for their own benefit. We expect you not to pursue further privatization like Alfonso and fall to their trap. If healthcare or the SSC is privatized, I doubt if I can help you. Interesting.
Well, we are not really doing more privatization, I think. We're also not gonna privatize the schools. That's a decision I did already. 1, don't worry, that won't happen. 2, I can't promise anything. These decisions depend on the circumstances. Oh, the politician answered so good. I'm gonna go for it. She deserves a political answer.
Yes. We'd rather not see it happen. I've already told you that I will give you the signatures for the proposal. But if the administration ignores the Conservatives, we will not follow through with the vote. You can be sure of that.
She suddenly stood up.
Anyhow, you heard me. It was nice meeting you, Mr. President. I hope you'll hold your promises.
She extended her hand for me for a handshake. Oh, we did shake her hand. After I shook her hand, she immediately sat back down.
But now I need to get back to my duties. If you'll excuse me, Mr. President.
I understand. I'll leave you to it. Oh, goodbye, Miss Story. Thank you. 3. I'll be expecting your wing support, Mrs. Story.
Number 3.
Yeah, click.
Hmm.
She only responded with a nod as I left her office. With the Conservative side now handled, Alban and the Reformist wing was my next obstacle, to get the needed 150 signatures for the proposal. I went outside. Serge drove me back to the palace where I met Lucien and told him about the meeting with Gloria Tori. Gloria!
Ooh.
I don't like Gloria.
No.
Gloria has promised that the Conservative wing of the USP will support the reform package. If she doesn't promise it, she goes to jail.
But will the Reformists support it now that you got rid of the Justice's immunity?
Oh, but then we just change back and then...
Yeah, I know, just be like,
It's going to be so interesting. Oh, you don't like it? Oh, well, then I will change back, because I don't like Gloria. Now, let's see. Meeting with Albin Claven on the planned reforms. After a meeting with Gloria Tori and further discussions with the party at my cabinet, it's time to talk to Albin Claven, or Claven, or Albin Clavin, or Albin Clavin. I don't know. You can decide yourself. But to get the reformist wing to support the proposal. This is the wing I care more about. So let's see if we can make them happy. I also plan to finally present a more fleshed out proposal and declare our agenda to the party after our meeting. Walk into the left wing of the assembly. Entered the quarters of the USP. When I reached the meeting hall, I saw many of our members conversing inside. After taking a glimpse inside, I went back into the corridor to look for the office of Albin Claven. It was around the back of the place. When I reached his room, I knocked on his door and entered.
Mr. President, welcome.
The whole room was surrounded by bookshelves, packed with files and papers. It was a small office, with books and dossiers lying on every corner. It felt claustrophobic. As cashier, I took a seat. Did a bomb drop at his office? Now, how is everything going, Mr. Claven?
It's been busy. The party has been working very hard, Mr. President. Thank you for asking. How is it going for you in the palace?
It's pretty tough. 2. I'm feeling pretty good. 3. It depends on our meeting today. It's pretty tough.
I can't imagine the work you're dealing with up there. I wanted to express my gratitude for passing the Workers' Rights Act. It's one of my most comprehensive, successful political efforts.
The workers' revolution will begin with small steps. The workers' revolution! It was the right thing to do because our workers were suffering for decades. That's true. The party effort had to be supported. 4. You and I see eye to eye on many subjects, including this one. Should we start flattering a bit with 4, or do we do 2? No ISCO, not 1.
4 might allow...
It allows him to start the negotiations.
Exactly.
You're going with 2.
Alright. Indeed, the people will credit your administration and the party for a positive change in their lives. The businesses will share the burden with the state, but is a change that they have to abide by. I have to say, the close collaboration between the palace and the party is going well. Looking forward to what we can accomplish with the reforms.
Albin smiled and knocked on wood.
There we go. Anyway, sir, let's talk about... That was glass, but close enough.
Oh,
anyway,
no.
Sir, let's talk about the proposal. Thanks for coming here for my input, because there's some subjects where Gloria and I don't see eye to eye. I have to say that most of the progressives were already starting to warm up to you. Your attempt at changing the Constitution created quite a bit of excitement. One could dare to say an excitement that hasn't been felt since the 30s. Uh-oh. Yet there are some issues with the current status of the draft proposal, so we may need to contain our excitement a little longer. I suspect that Miss Tory had a lot of influence on this proposal, but I cannot support this in its current state.
Oh no. I need your support, Mr. Claven. 2. What's the problem? A question. 3. I thought you were a Democrat. 4. The party should respect my decision. What's the problem?
Where to even begin? Reformists were expecting reform about the term limits. Why is that not included in the proposal?
Wasn't a priority. 2. This is only my first term. It's too soon to break term limits. 3. We can address that today. Yeah, we decided that there is no term limit, right? Because the
Yes.
people were the people vote, so there should be no term limit. But we can change it to make it maybe 2 terms in a row as a maximum. I think that's in the United States, right?
Yeah, only 2 terms, 8 years total, 4 years each term.
Now we could address that. That's not a big deal, right?
What will the conservatives care?
I don't know. We can address that today.
It's like, I don't want term limits.
I want to talk with this guy.
That's good to know. Let's see then. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, we could bring it to 2. If that makes them happier.
I don't really see why you wouldn't have it at 2.
Yeah, let's go for that. We'll bring term limits of 2. Oh, he likes it.
A pleasant surprise. Let's move on. Good.
He looked down at the proposal.
It's looking good. I will support the proposal and get the needed signatures from our wing.
Oh, so we suddenly
Wait,
have
really?
we have the votes from the conservatives and the progressives. That's amazing.
I believe the feminist, I said it as feminist. I'm sorry. I believe the reformist votes that I have will be very important to you. Who knows? Maybe you'll consider me for a job in the government in the future for this. Ah, there it is.
Oh, you're trying to take over the party. You bet I will, Mr. Claven. I consider you if you prove yourself useful in the vote. No. I'm gonna say anything.
No.
I'm expecting your vote, Mr. Claven.
Of course. I will talk to my guys shortly. I'll have their signatures soon.
Thank
Don't
you, Mr.
botch it.
Claven.
See you in the conference, Mr. President.
I left his room and went back into the corridor. The meeting had exhausted me. I went to the... Oh, it was a very quick meeting, what do you mean? I went to the restaurant of the assembly to get something to eat while conversing with other members of our party. I saw Albin talking to his people in the distance. After a while, the preparations of the conference began, and I went back into the conference hall and prepared my notes for the speech I was going to make. It took time to get all of the present members of the party inside the hall. Gloria announced me from the stand. I walked up to the stand as everybody in the room started clapping. Ladies and gentlemen of the party. 2. Dear members of assembly. 3. Brothers and sisters of United Sordland.
This is like
1. Ladies and gentlemen of the party, I came here today to announce the agenda for the future of our country. I started my speech with the reasons of the changes to the Constitution. 1. The people of Sordland has spoken. Or 2. Our system and institutions have increasingly become undemocratic. And 3. The Supreme Court is blocking the future of Sordland.
Well, you're not going to get rid of their immunity, so I don't know about 3.
Let's do 2.
Yeah.
Our system and institutions have increasingly become undemocratic over the decades after Soll tightened his grip on the country. Since then we have a Supreme Court that obstructs the duties of the President and the Assembly. We must finally be brave enough to go against the status quo that they created and write a new constitution. I paused when some people started clapping, but it was short-lived. After taking a breath, I continued. 1. Talk about democracy. 2. Talk about why the USP needs this to survive the next elections. That's not the reason we are president. 3. Target the old guards. I'm just gonna talk about democracy. I brought attention to democracy and why we must write a more democratic constitution. I explained how our proposal will fix the issues. The left side of the hall where Albin sat started applauding. Later I explained the contents of the new constitution and asked for their full support of the proposal. Threatened them to vote.
Threatened to
ask
what
for
would
their
you
votes.
say? Threaten them.
I asked for each and every member's vote to make a change together. The reformist wing on the left stood up and started clapping loudly after Albin Clavin made a sign. Soon after, most of the party members stood up and joined in. I saluted everybody in the room one last time and bid them farewell before leaving the stand. I walked outside the assembly and back into the palace. Well, I think that was a fruitful meeting.
Yeah, that was really surprising that he didn't bring up
Look, we get both.
Giving the Supreme Court immunity.
Get both of them.
He was so easy to talk to, that man.
Some news that we meet today, and was it? Yeah. I think we have nothing and that I can click continue. Are we going to chapter 3?
It might be.
Happen. Let's see. No. Balance of power in Eastern Mercopia. But this is still part of chapter 2.
Uh-oh.
We have 2 unread newspapers. Archaic state of Sordland's conscription laws. Dear reader, I ask you this. What year are we in? The 1880s, the 1920s? The matter I'm writing about is, of course, mandatory military service again. In times when there are no active wars, why do we still need to have these conscription laws? To get discipline to the youth. Let me answer that. It is because someone profits from it. Not only does this make the warmongering Solis happy, it also works out for large defense corporations. The oligarchs are now swimming in money, while we still have to send our children away when they come of age. We are in the modern age.
I mean,
if we want to modernize Sordland and catch up to the superpowers, we want to lose this militaristic identity so that we can intellectually prosper. Mandatory conscription laws need to go. No.
No.
And the geopolitical reign to meet with Smolak and Van Horten. Oh, yeah, Van Horten is from the north. It's the Dutchy.
Oh, yes.
With the new trade the new trade initiative. We still need to decide who we're going to trade with. The hope is the solidification of relations with an old ally, Agnolia, and a troublesome neighbor, Wayland, with the aim of regaining some of the regional diplomatic influence the country used to have. Each of these countries have different agenda, which will create some difficulties for President Rayne. Prime Minister Van Horten, who was elected through a powerful democratic movement, wants to reimagine trade with Sordland, while President Smolak of Wayland is looking for new foreign direct investments and security corporations against rebellious Brutish movements at the border. Lesbia and Volksland are watching Sordland's actions very closely. They're sure to react to any sort of balance power shift. Yeah, Lesbia was the south, right? One as well. Yeah, this was Lesbia.
Yes.
Strong military and they are neutral.
Oh.
And Wayland is very weak and neutral.
$17 million. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And of course we have Rumburg, and this is the Agnolia region. We have good relations with them right now.
Good.
Ooh, that sound. Okay.
Strong.
Read the report from Holsort. Ministry of Health discusses privatization. No. Well, maybe. The Ministry of Health has begun working on a health report with a proposal to allow privatization of the health system to potentially generate new resources for the ministry. Resources. Why did you still say money? Minister Benewell is personally overseeing the discussion and the report with top aides, including members. Business Council.
Uh-oh.
Really? Should we just go bankrupt?
I mean, no, you just keep printing money. No one goes
currency
bankrupt
crash
anymore.
struck Sordland when the money supply in the country rippled. We are printing money. We actually tripled our money supply, and it didn't work. Due to a successive event of panic selling after the markets opened with a quarter loss. Oh, you can buy low now. The chain reaction caused massive currency fluctuations and an increase in consumer prices. The Central Bank of Sordland implemented emergency freezes on transactions and lowered interest rates to incentivize spending.
Well, that's not really our problem. At least we didn't do that.
Today is the worst day of the whole run. What's this game? Is this just a look at the economy is went to war? Oh no! Extreme poverty. What am I supposed to do? There is a collective agreement that our nation is in a tight spot and the road ahead is difficult, but what happened on this Black Tuesday might have just shattered our dreams. Our word of advice is to vote with your gut in the upcoming election. This might very well be our worst day. We are gonna get a big communist revolution.
I mean, you didn't do anything wrong. Oh.
Yeah, same things. And markets crash in Sordland. Black Tuesday.
You know when you see that exclamation mark, it's bad.
Because nations like Rumburg are watching Sordland closely, and any weakness will be perceived as another reason to make dangerous gambles. Terrible. Absolutely disgusting. Alright. We have a report from Lackhaven, the market crash. Yeah. Thousands of people were seen waiting in front of shops, forming queues to buy necessary supplies as part of the mass panic caused by the crisis. The financial repercussions are now influencing all facets of society. And what is here in Conrad? We have the Soviets are offering aid